Look at this. My bass is eating. Largemouth bass in the pond just ate a frog. Well, it's not done yet. It's still eating, but it just took a frog into its mouth. Look at that girl. She is eating. My largemouth bass just ate a frog out of the pond. Welcome back to Whitt Acres. Today I want to get started on creating the new garden bed going outside the pond. We have a little bit of rain in the forecast and it's actually starting to drizzle right now, but hopefully we can beat the rain and get this done. We have a very light drizzle going on right now, but I think most of the storm is going to be staying north of us, so I'm going to try and get as much done as I can before it gets too wet out here. My dad and I have been working on cleaning up this outside area of the pond where I've been dropping a lot of materials to take in and use for creating the pond. We're getting closer to finishing the pond and I don't need as much material down here as I did before. So we got most of it cleaned up and I just left a few here that I'm still going to use in the landscape of this new bed. As you can kind of see where I took the weed whacker and started cutting it out, that's how big I'm thinking about making this bed, and it's going to taper up to the rocks and then blend right out flush with the yard. I don't know what mulch I'm going to do in here yet, so if you have any suggestions, leave them down in the comments below. But I do want to get the topsoil in here so I can get the soil raised up and graded away from the pond before we do any planting. We do most of our sitting up here on the patio, so the plantings around the pond have to be low so we have a nice view out over the pond and into the field and we can see all the animals out at the barn. So my initial thought will be to do some hostas gap through here and then maybe some ornamental grass like blue fescue, but not blue fescue, just something about that size that stays alive all winter long so I can have some structure out here. I like the hostas and I like the blooms that they put off, but they don't last all winter long and I don't want everything to die on this bank. I still want a little bit of life here. I have some topsoil out at the field pond that I'm going to use. My dad just did some grading out there to make it easier for the ducks to get in and out. So I'm going to hop in the backhoe, grab some of that topsoil, bring it down and get started. You ready, pup? And I'm gonna have to get the mower out of the rain. I had to borrow my brother's mower because the belt broke on ours. I finally got caught up with all the grass and everything around the property. Oh, and I gotta put the forks away. We were working up at the barn for the rain harvest system, so I gotta get these put away. Just trying to get done before it rains too much. The field pond out here actually turned out great. Now that's all banked in around most of the sides here, and then we just have it all piled up on the high side. The ducks have it real easy coming through here to get into the water now. Hey ducks! Up, up! Maybe one more. Come on, bud. Now, I think this is going to be enough soil to do what I want to do all the way to that rock here and just blend it out into the field. It's still raining a little bit, but I think I got everything I need to get done with the backhoe done. The rest is just going to be hand shovel work. All right, pup. Yeah, you wait for me to get in first. Good boy. We just did a little bit of rework on the rain harvest system up at the barn, so I got to run up now that it's raining just to make sure that the pipe is still going into the tank. Hey chickens. Hey mumbles. Look at Rita over there, just sitting right in front of the duck fence. She wants so badly to join the flock, but they just don't let her. Puppy, why is Dizzy outside? Dizzy, hold on, we got to help Dizzy. Come here, girl. Come here. There we go. My chicken. Here you go, girl. Get back inside, Dizzy. Sedgwig, what are you doing in the replacements box, Sedgwig? You have a barn to go to, girl. You guys hanging out? I guess that's good you're getting along. I finally put all the chickens together, so if you didn't see that video, head over to the homestead channel. I guess my goats are taking shelter. Yeah, you guys using the roof? No, stay in there. Don't get wet, goats. So I got another tank to add to the rain harvest system up here and double my storage. But we brought up this one. It had some water in it already from sitting down at the house and collecting from the roof. Here, pup. I'm gonna try and get this tank on. The forks are rated for 4,000 pounds. And the tank should be less than that. Readjust. All right, that's probably as close as you're getting. I can just drop your forks now. You need them. You didn't use them to put it there. Well, try. You're hitting the mound, so if you can get out, go ahead. Good. You're clear. All right, we are a little crooked, but like I said, once this empties out and I use all this water, we'll get this readjusted and both tanks hooked together. And we got that all cleaned up, so we brought that one up, but it was heavy, so we didn't have the angle to get it in place. So once I drain that down, we'll get that squared up with this tank, and then both tanks are going to get connected together so they act as one big tank. But this one is not completely hooked up yet. I just got it squared away, and it's just coming now. We're just getting enough rain. It's about to drip for the first time, so I'm making sure that the whole gutter system is still going to flow. Here it is, into the tank. We made it just in time to watch this happen. I'm glad you all can be here for this moment. Wow. Beautiful. So it looks like this is gonna drip right into the tank, just like it's supposed to. Building the homestead up here piece by piece, trying to make it better. I shut this door. Puppy, come on. But this is all the soil that I dug up digging the pond down at the house, and we used some of that to grade up to the barn to get that nice and level across the top. I had to build a retainment wall here. My dad was a real big help grading this off, taking a day off work to help finish this off. And to me, it looks a lot nicer up here. All right, I was just checking in on the rain tank, make sure that was working. If you're interested in anything going on at the homestead, I have a channel dedicated to all the homestead activities, so make sure you go and check that out in the description. I just love seeing animals out in the field, especially when I'm out driving and I just look over and and I see a field full of cows. It's so nice to actually see animals out and about instead of it being a manicured lawn. Up, up. Then we come back to a manicured lawn. This gourd absolutely took over this side. I've been pruning it back every other day just to keep it off of this marigold line. I didn't know what to plant there in the beginning, but then the volunteer gourds came and filled up the space for me. And then look at this volunteer sunflower just popping up in the most perfect spot. They filled in really nice. They came right across, and they're coming into the pond a little bit too. But it came right across to the petunia and the little gazanias that are trying to bloom. I don't think it's... Oh, hi frog. Oh, I just scared a frog up in there. Sorry, buddy. One went by my foot and then the other one went uphill. I think today's a little bit too cool for those gazanias to be open all the way, but the pond is looking beautiful down here. I know there's a lot of algae on it, but I really can't catch up to that algae without doing a full pond cleaning. The water quality itself is perfectly clear. You can see all the way through the water, and the fish are really happy. And my niece and nephew were just here swimming in it, and they're still doing just fine. They didn't grow any extra arms or anything yet. So since we got the new pump hooked up, we've been doing really good with water quality. And earlier I walked up to the edge of the pond just to look at the fish for a minute, and I noticed something weird with the bass. And once I looked closer, I got my camera out. Largemouth bass in the pond just ate a frog. Well, it's not done yet. It's still eating, but it just took a frog into its mouth. Look at that girl. She is eating. So my largemouth bass just sucked a frog into its mouth. It's not down yet, but she is trying. I didn't even realize she'd try and take something that big. I was worried about all my koi and goldfish that I put in here. And actually, I am missing yin. I have yin and yang right there, my black and white koi. I had 2 of them, and I am missing one. I was kind of thinking she was big enough to where the bass wouldn't mess with her, but after seeing that bass take the frog in its mouth, I'm pretty sure that it would have easily been able to suck down one of the koi. That is crazy. It is so interesting watching all the wildlife interact here in the pond. I just walked over here to look at the fish for a minute, and I saw the bass look a little weird. It seemed like it had like a fungus on its face growing out of it, and then once I looked closer, it had a whole frog in its mouth. She is trying to suck down the frog backwards, so I'm not sure if she's going to be able to get it in or not. But she did go in the cave, so I'm sure she'll be able to flip it around and get it down. We have a frog sitting right above the cave in a danger zone. Yeah, buddy, you are in a danger zone. Puppy, that bass just took it. So that bass really just took down a frog. I've used the frog bait when fishing before, and I've never been able to catch a bass on it, but I've seen it now in real life that bass really do eat frogs. I don't know if it ended up getting the frog all the way down because she went into her cave, but if she went into the cave, I'm sure she was able to work that frog into her mouth. And about a month ago, we had one of the frogs eat a baby bird right off the shoreline while I was working on the waterfalls. What the hell are you doing? Holy crap. That frog just ate that bird. So whenever you have a bunch of nature in your backyard, you never know what's going to happen. I am going to get out there and try and throw some of that soil around before the rain gets on it too much and makes it real heavy. I'm just going to try and level it out a little bit, but I'm not taking my camera out there because it is drizzling pretty good. Alright, the rain's been letting up and I'm making some progress out here. All this topsoil that I'm using was scraped off the field pond out there before I dug it, and I put all the topsoil in a pile, so it has a lot of grass growing in it and sod clumps. So it's not the easiest to work with. I had to get the pitchfork and I had to shake out a lot of the sod clumps, trying to get a lot of the topsoil to drop out, and then throwing the clumps to the side so I can take them out later. I'm going to bring the backhoe back down here and clean up all this sod and take it out of here because I don't need it down here. There's a ton of sod in there. It's like a full bucket load was just grass and sod. But I'm past halfway on the back of the pond here and it's looking really nice. I don't think I have enough soil dumped off here. Once I got all this sod clumps pulled out, I don't think I'm going to have enough to keep the same level of soil all the way across. So I might do this area a little bit thinner just to have it fully covered, and then I'll be able to live with it for a while and see the shape and see if it's actually the shape that I want to keep. I think it looks pretty good so far, but I do want to take the time to take the drone up before I finish it off so we can see how it curves around with the rest of the pond. Most of the lines around the property are not straight at all whenever you look at them from the sky. And the pond stone isn't even really square with the patio when you look at it above. I just want that curve coming around the back of the pond bank there to kind of blend with this curve as well. I don't want it to be too far off or kind of cut itself in. If it needs to be wider, I want to be able to widen it out a little bit. I left the corner over here all stone because that is the overflow for the pond, and I want to be able to access that at some point so I can attach a pipe to it and take it underground over to a tank at the vegetable garden. That's a future project, but I do want to keep it accessible, so whenever I do that, it's going to be easier. I think this is really going to give the pond a nice complete feeling once I get all that sod cleaned up and this nice and level all the way across there. I really do like walking up to the pond and seeing the big largemouth bass swimming along with all the colorful fish. I am missing one of my yin and yang, so yang is still here, but I'm missing yin, so I'm wondering if the largemouth did end up catching one of my koi. I was hoping that they'd be big enough and fast enough that he wouldn't catch them, but he's pretty big himself, so him or her, I'm not real sure. Oh, nice, the geyser. But I really like seeing him swimming along in there, so whenever I get some more fish for this pond, I'm gonna have to get some bigger fish that aren't gonna be easily eaten by the largemouth bass. Altogether, we have about 7,000 gallons in this pond, so we can do a lot with this. Pop, that's not your ball. We're all the way across here, and you can definitely tell that I dropped it down to a lower level to make it all the way to the end here, but I wanted the soil to be all the way across so I can get a full picture of what it looks like. And I think it's gonna work out pretty good like this. But I'm looking at it from all angles, and I am liking it so far. And I do always like looking at the pond from this angle because you have the bank on the backside and it feels like you're fully enclosed with the pond. And once I get this new bed all planted out, I think it's gonna frame in the pond really nice. And I finally brought down my bigger millstone. I have a smaller millstone in the water down at the bottom of the waterfalls, but I wanna drop this one down at the bottom of the deep end. So down in here where all the fish are, I wanna put that millstone just so it's another little character accent that you see whenever you look down to the bottom of the pond. Sorry, bunny, I didn't mean to knock you over. I gotta get some black paint yet to paint the bunny, the new frog, and the little tortoise that we got. I want to make them black like the duck we have, the pig on the falls, and the chubby songbird. I'm definitely going to dress up this area a lot more whenever I get it finished, but I just wanted to get it started today. We still have some stone here as some accents, and I have these stone here as a pathway to get into the pond, fill up some buckets, or just make your way around the pond so you have full access to both sides. And I left that stone lower on the wall so it still had access to walk in and out, so I'd get buckets of water for the bird bath down at the garden, and for water and anything down at the garden as well, I'd have easier access to the pond. I just walked over here and noticed at my feet we have a dragonfly hanging out. I think it's so fascinating to see all the different nature whenever you put a pond in your backyard. I think I'm done for the evening on this project. We're supposed to get some rain over the next few days, so I'm going to get this sod collected up and then let that rain just settle in all this soil here. And then once everything gets settled in, I'll bring in a little bit more topsoil, a little bit cleaner to level everything off here before we get it planted. That's going to be all for this one. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that like button before you leave, and you can see me and Echo on the next one. Thanks for watching. I might have to get some more fish. These are beautiful in here.